Dr. Manzullo, the chairman of the Subcommittee on Asia and the Pacific, is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for calling this important hearing. The Congressional-Executive Commission on China, on which I've had the honor of serving as a commissioner for several years, is charged with a singular mission to improve and monitor human rights and development of rule of law in China. The Commission's annual report is an important tool for human rights advocates around the world. It shows that there are over 5,600 people imprisoned in China for violating basic concepts of human rights. China's progress in the rule of law development is equally lacking. As chairman of the Subcommittee on Asia and the Pacific and as founder of the Manufacturing Caucus, time after time after time, manufacturers, many of which are in my district, come to my office showing the latest rip-off in intellectual property, sham court trials, etc. We are always interested in the administration doing more to urge China to improve its human rights. I'll be holding a hearing this month on the administration's efforts to give China $4 million of taxpayers' funding to help promote the use of clean energy technology in China. Some say U.S. American aid is as high as $300 million to China. Our subcommittee will be exploring that. This is at the same time that our U.S. trade representative is fighting a case at the WTO against illegal Chinese government subsidies in the clean energy sector. I am also very much appalled over the lack of basic freedom of worship in China. The Chinese government itself is setting up a sham Catholic church, not allowing the real Catholic Church the right to be governed by the Holy See, that is the Pope, and also the unrooting of Protestant churches, dismantling of the home churches, etc. Pastor Fu, you mentioned in your testimony under conclusions and recommendations that the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, which is a different commission than the Congressional-Executive Legislative Commission, has many excellent policy recommendations. I was looking at those recommendations. This is the Commission on International Freedom. One is the right of Catholics to recognize the authority of the Holy See in matters relating to the practice of their faith, including the making of bishop appointments, and the right of Protestants to worship free from state controls over doctrine and to worship in unregistered house churches, free from harassment, detention, and other abuses. And I don't even have time to mention what's going on with the Buddhists, Muslims, and other people in other faith communities. How, Pastor Fu, how do you see the United States government trying to implement at least these two recommendations of the U.S. Commission on International Freedom?
I think the U.S. government, especially the administration and Congress, should have, what one of the China expert in the U.S. the Commission, Dr. Scott Flipsy, described as a Facebook policy, like a transparent, consistent, coherent policy on this issue. Not just this administration have under the table thing. That administration one time they have some talk about a little bit, and the other administration may just using the human rights dialogue or do something. I think there should be a consistent policy and transparent to stand very clearly and state very clearly this is what the United States of America stands for, and every congressman or senators, every administration officials, or even state officials, when they visit China, they should talk loud and clearly make this as a priority.
Well, Pastor Fu, I chaired the U.S.-China Interparliamentary Exchange for several years. We'd bring up these topics at the talks, and nothing would come of it. How much more forceful can this country be?
I do have specific recommendations, such as I think the U.S. Embassy and the consulates in different cities should invite those the internet activist leaders or democracy activists, or even active civil society builders or house church leaders to have tea, or the Chinese security forces always force them to have tea, but I think the U.S. Embassy officials and designated personnel should invite them to go to in the embassy perimeter and regularly and publicly announced, and even business leaders to let them mingle together to talk to each other. I think that will send a very strong signal. And another thing is when there is a arrest of dissidents, like Mr. Ding Mao, his wife is here, Ms. Feng Xia. Like that, if there is a case like that, I think the embassy officials should make a formal request to attend a court hearing. And you may prevent it from going, but I think the fact when the Nobel Peace Prize winner Liu Xiaobo's trial was there, I think the European Union, the human rights officer, the U.S. government officials were just in front of the embassy or in front of the courtroom. I think itself would send a strong